Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and told yourself it's probably just age, nothing serious? What if I told you that this single, seemingly harmless habit is one of the most common early warning signs of kidney damage, and that by the time most people realize it's a problem, they've already lost a large portion of their kidney function without feeling any pain at all? I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and after years of working with patients who were shocked by a kidney disease diagnosis they never saw coming, I can tell you this with absolute certainty: kidney failure rarely announces itself with dramatic symptoms. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And while you're waiting for pain, your kidneys may already be struggling silently under constant pressure, day after day, night after night. Here's the frightening truth most people in America are never told. You can have normal blood sugar, you can avoid salty foods, you can feel mostly fine, and still be on a slow, invisible path toward chronic kidney disease. By the time lab results finally look abnormal, millions of tiny filtering units inside your kidneys called nephrons may already be permanently damaged. And once they're gone, they never come back. But this is not a video about fear, and it's not about extreme detoxes or miracle cures either. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how small, realistic changes, especially the way you eat and the pressure you place on your kidneys every single day, can dramatically slow kidney decline, protect the function you still have, and in many cases help people avoid dialysis altogether. Because when it comes to your kidneys, it's not about fixing damage once it's done. It's about lowering the silent pressure that causes that damage in the first place before it's too late. And that's exactly where our story truly begins. One of the biggest mistakes I see patients make is believing that healthy automatically means raw. Because when it comes to your kidneys, raw leafy greens are not always your friend, but cooked ones can be one of your strongest allies. I remember a patient who did everything right on paper: smoothies every morning, big raw salads at lunch, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, all the superfoods. Yet his kidney labs kept slowly getting worse. When we looked closer, the issue wasn't what he was eating, it was how. Raw leafy greens are extremely high in oxalates, natural compounds that bind to minerals and increase the workload on your kidneys. Over time, that extra filtration pressure adds up. Here's what most people don't realize. When you cook leafy greens, even lightly oxalate, levels can drop by 30 to 60% depending on the vegetable. At the same time, cooking softens plant fibers, improves mineral absorption, and helps blood vessels relax. That matters because relaxed blood vessels mean lower pressure inside the kidney's filtering units, the nephrons. Less pressure means less damage day after day. This is why populations with lower rates of kidney decline don't fear cooked greens. They eat spinach, sautéed kale, steamed greens, simmered into soups. Not raw bowls, not blended overloads. Just gentle, warm, kidney-friendly meals that reduce strain instead of adding it. But knowing which greens to cook is only the first step, because there's another everyday food people think is harmless, yet it quietly increases acid load on the kidneys even faster. And almost no one connects the dots. If cooked leafy greens help your kidneys breathe easier, then beans and lentils decide whether your kidneys are forced to carry weight or finally get some relief. Many patients tell me the same thing I was told: to eat more protein to stay strong. So they add more chicken, more beef, more protein shakes. And at first, nothing feels wrong. But months later, kidney numbers quietly start drifting in the wrong direction. That's because animal protein doesn't just feed muscles, it also creates a heavy acid load your kidneys must neutralize every single day. Here's where beans and lentils change the story. Unlike animal protein, plant-based proteins produce up to 50% less dietary acid, according to metabolic balance studies. That means less strain on your kidney's buffering system and less pressure on each nephron. Beans and lentils also come packaged with fiber, magnesium, and potassium nutrients that help stabilize blood pressure and improve insulin sensitivity, two silent drivers of kidney damage. I once worked with a patient who swapped just one animal-based meal per day for lentils or chickpeas. Within months, his lab trends stopped worsening, not because beans cured his kidneys, but because they finally gave his kidneys a break. This isn't about going vegan overnight. It's about choosing protein that works with your kidneys, not against them. But protein type is only part of the equation, because even people who eat the right protein can still damage their kidneys through one daily habit almost no one pays attention to. Even when people switch to the right kind of protein, there's another silent problem that can undo all that effort: unstable blood sugar and blood pressure. And this is where oats quietly become one of the most underestimated kidney protective foods in America. I once had a patient who ate healthy all day, but every morning started with sweet cereal toast or flavored yogurt. His blood sugar spiked, crashed, then spiked again, and so did his blood pressure. What many don't realize is that every blood sugar surge temporarily increases pressure inside the kidney's filtering system, forcing nephrons to work harder than they were designed to. Oats change that pattern. Thanks to their high content of beta-glucan fiber oats, slow glucose absorption, and reduced post-meal sugar spikes by up to 30 to 40%, according to clinical nutrition studies. That same fiber helps lower LDL cholesterol and supports healthier blood vessel function. And healthier blood vessels means steadier blood pressure, one of the most powerful ways to slow kidney damage long-term. What matters most is how oats are used. Plain steel-cut or old-fashioned oats act like a stabilizer, smoothing out metabolic highs and lows. Not instant packets, not sugar-loaded blends. Just simple oats that quietly protect your kidneys while keeping your energy steady. Patients who make this switch often tell me the same thing: they feel fuller, longer, crave less sugar, and their lab trends finally stop bouncing around. But controlling blood sugar and pressure is only half the battle, because even with perfect numbers, oxidative damage can still silently destroy nephrons. And that's where the next group of foods becomes absolutely critical. Even when blood sugar and blood pressure finally look stable on paper, many kidneys are still quietly losing nephrons because another enemy is at work behind the scenes: oxidative stress. And this is where berries step in, not as a snack, but as microscopic bodyguards for your kidneys. I remember a woman in her early 60s who did everything right. She ate oats every morning, walked daily, kept her numbers under control. Yet her kidney function kept slipping slowly year after year. What her labs didn't show was the constant oxidative damage happening inside her kidney tissue, damage driven by age, inflammation, and decades of metabolic stress. Berries directly target that process. Blueberries, strawberries, and other berries are packed with polyphenols and anthocyanins, compounds shown in both human and animal studies to reduce markers of renal oxidative injury and slow nephron loss, especially in people with diabetes or metabolic syndrome. Some studies show improved endothelial function and reduced inflammatory signaling within weeks of regular berry intake. Unlike sugary snacks, berries deliver antioxidants inside a fiber matrix, meaning they don't spike blood sugar or overload filtration. They also support mitochondrial function inside kidney cells, helping them produce energy more efficiently while generating fewer free radicals. That matters because kidneys are among the most metabolically active organs in the body, constantly filtering blood day and night. Patients who add berries consistently often see something subtle but powerful: less inflammation, steadier labs, and slower decline over time. It's protection you don't feel, but your kidneys do. But even antioxidants can't do everything alone, because there's a mineral imbalance that silently drives kidney damage for millions, and most people completely misunderstand it. Even with antioxidants on board, kidneys can still suffer if one critical mineral balance is off, and for millions of people, that missing piece is potassium. Sweet potatoes are one of the most misunderstood foods in kidney health, yet when used correctly, they can quietly stabilize the very pressure that destroys nephrons over time. I once worked with a patient whose blood pressure stayed stubbornly high despite cutting salt and taking medication. What finally made a difference wasn't another pill, it was replacing refined starches with potassium-rich whole foods like sweet potatoes. Within weeks, his readings became more consistent and his kidney labs stopped trending downward. Potassium works as sodium's natural counterbalance. In whole food form, it promotes sodium excretion, relaxes blood vessel walls, and reduces overactivation of the renin-angiotensin system, a hormonal cascade directly linked to kidney scarring. Large population studies consistently show that higher dietary potassium intake is associated with lower blood pressure and slower progression of chronic kidney disease, as long as kidney failure is not advanced. Sweet potatoes deliver potassium inside a fiber-rich, low-acid package. That fiber slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and reduces the pressure surges that damage glomeruli after meals. And unlike processed carbs, sweet potatoes don't flood the kidneys with metabolic waste. Many people fear potassium unnecessarily. For those without late-stage kidney failure, avoiding it can actually increase risk, not reduce it. But mineral balance isn't the only silent protector, because there's an entire family of vegetables that doesn't just support the kidneys. It activates your body's internal detox system in ways most people never imagine. Even when minerals are balanced and blood pressure finally looks calm, many people still overlook a deeper problem: toxic load at the cellular level. This is where cruciferous vegetables become far more than just healthy greens. They act like a switch that turns on your body's own internal detox and repair system, especially inside the kidneys. I once explained this to a patient who asked, "If my kidneys already filter toxins, why do I need detox foods?" The truth is, kidneys don't work in isolation. When your cells are inefficient at neutralizing toxins, the kidneys are forced to handle more waste, more inflammation, and more oxidative stress day after day. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, bok choy, and Brussels sprouts contain glucosinolates, which are converted into bioactive compounds such as sulforaphane when chopped or chewed. These compounds activate the NRF2 pathway, a master regulator that increases your body's production of antioxidants, and phase 2 detox enzymes like glutathione. Studies show this pathway helps reduce oxidative injury, inflammation, and cellular stress in kidney tissue. Unlike harsh cleanses, this process doesn't flush the kidneys. It strengthens cells from the inside, reducing the burden placed on filtration units. Cruciferous vegetables are also low in acid load and high in fiber, which helps lower uremic toxins produced by the gut and improves the gut-kidney axis. Patients who eat these vegetables consistently often see slower disease progression, improved metabolic markers, and better vascular health benefits that medications alone rarely deliver. But detox and inflammation control still aren't enough, because even clean blood vessels can stiffen over time, and that stiffness creates pressure the kidneys cannot escape. Even when detox pathways are activated and inflammation is under control, kidneys can still be slowly damaged by something most people never feel: arterial stiffness. And this is where ground flax seeds quietly become one of the most powerful yet overlooked kidney protective foods. I once had a patient who ate plenty of vegetables and avoided processed foods, yet his blood pressure stayed unpredictable. Not high enough to alarm him, just high enough to keep damaging his kidneys year after year. What finally made a measurable difference wasn't another medication. It was adding just 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed a day. Flax seeds are rich in lignans and plant-based omega-3 fatty acids compounds shown in clinical trials to significantly reduce arterial stiffness and improve nitric oxide signaling. In fact, randomized studies have found that regular flaxseed intake can lower systolic blood pressure by 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury, a reduction large enough to meaningfully slow kidney damage over time. For the kidneys, this matters because stiff arteries transmit pressure directly into the glomeruli, the microscopic filters that cannot tolerate constant mechanical stress. By improving vascular elasticity, flax seeds reduce that pressure at its source. And because flax seeds are also high in fiber, they help stabilize blood sugar and lower inflammation, further protecting nephron integrity. The key is preparation. Flax seeds must be ground, not whole, to unlock their benefits. Used this way, they work quietly: no spikes, no strain, just steady protection. But even flexible blood vessels aren't the full story, because there's another everyday food group that shapes blood pressure, insulin response, and even how much salt you crave, and most people are eating it all wrong. Even with healthier blood vessels and better pressure control, many kidneys are still under daily assault from one powerful habit: excess sodium intake. And the problem isn't just the salt shaker, it's how strongly our taste buds have been trained to crave salt. This is where mushrooms become a quiet but strategic ally for kidney health. I often see patients who swear they've cut back on salt, yet their blood pressure refuses to cooperate. When we review their meals, the issue becomes clear: food no longer tastes satisfying without heavy seasoning. That constant sodium load tightens blood vessels and raises pressure inside the kidneys, even when lab numbers look acceptable. Mushrooms naturally contain umami compounds that enhance flavor without sodium. This allows people to reduce salt intake without feeling deprived. Studies show that replacing part of meat or processed foods with mushrooms can significantly lower sodium consumption while improving insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. Mushrooms also provide beta-glucans, a special type of fiber that helps regulate immune activity and reduce chronic inflammation. Beyond taste, mushrooms are low in calories, low in acid load, and naturally supportive of blood sugar control, all critical for protecting delicate kidney filters. Their potassium content further supports blood pressure balance without overwhelming the kidneys when eaten in normal portions. Patients who regularly incorporate mushrooms often report something unexpected. Their cravings for salty foods fade over time, and their blood pressure becomes easier to manage. But reducing sodium isn't the only dietary lever that protects the kidneys, because there's another fruit group that directly influences acid balance and kidney stone risk, and most people consume it in the most damaging way possible. Even after reducing salt and calming blood pressure, many kidneys are still forced to work overtime because of something most people never think about: acid load and stone-forming chemistry. This is where citrus fruits play a surprisingly protective role, but only if they're eaten the right way. I once met a patient who drank orange juice every morning, believing it was heart healthy. Yet he struggled with recurrent kidney stones and worsening kidney labs. The problem wasn't citrus itself, it was how he consumed it. Juice stripped away the fiber and delivered sugar too fast, spiking insulin and increasing filtration stress. When eaten, whole citrus fruits like lemons, oranges, and limes provide citrate, a compound shown to bind calcium in urine and reduce kidney stone formation. Citrate also helps neutralize dietary acid, lowering the acid burden the kidneys must excrete. Clinical studies consistently show that higher urinary citrate levels are associated with lower stone risk and slower kidney damage. Whole citrus fruits also deliver potassium, vitamin C, and flavonoids that support endothelial function and improve blood vessel flexibility, reinforcing the blood pressure gains made earlier. And because the fiber remains intact, sugar absorption is slower, reducing post-meal pressure spikes inside the glomeruli. Patients who switch from juice to whole fruit often notice fewer urinary symptoms, steadier energy, and improved lab trends over time. It's a small change, but one with outsized impact. But even perfect food choices can fail if hydration is wrong, because the final and most underestimated protector of kidney health isn't a nutrient at all. It's water, and most people are doing it completely backward. Even with balanced minerals, controlled acid load, and smarter food choices, kidneys can still suffer if hydration is misunderstood. Most people think hydration is about forcing down more water, but for kidney health, it's really about how water enters the body and how gently it moves through the nephrons. This is where water-rich vegetables quietly change everything. I've seen patients who drink liters of water a day and still show signs of dehydration on labs. Their urine stays concentrated, pressure inside the kidneys remains high, and waste products linger longer than they should. The missing link is often food-based hydration. Vegetables like cucumbers, zucchini, celery, lettuce, and radishes deliver water slowly packaged with potassium, magnesium, and fiber, the exact combination kidneys evolved to handle. Research shows that hydration from whole foods supports steadier urine flow, lower vasopressin levels, and reduced intraglomerular pressure. Unlike chugging water, which can spike filtration and then rapidly flush electrolytes, water-rich vegetables hydrate at a cellular level while maintaining mineral balance. This protects nephrons from repeated pressure surges that accelerate long-term damage. These vegetables are also extremely low in sodium and acid load, helping dilute dietary salt without stressing the kidneys. Patients who increase water-rich vegetables often notice lighter-colored urine, less swelling, and more stable kidney markers. Subtle signs that pressure is finally easing. But here's the truth most people never hear. Food alone doesn't save kidneys unless you understand when damage truly begins, long before pain, long before labs, and long before doctors warn you. And that final insight may determine whether kidneys decline slowly or fail suddenly. If you've stayed with me until now, I want you to know this first. Your kidneys are not fragile by default. They are resilient when you give them the right conditions. Even if you've made mistakes in the past, even if your labs aren't perfect today, small changes done consistently can slow damage, protect what you still have, and sometimes change the entire trajectory of your health. You don't need extreme diets or fear-based rules. You need awareness, balance, and foods that work with your body, not against it. If this video helped you understand your kidneys a little better, please save it, because these are the kinds of reminders we all need more than once. And consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss future videos where I break down medical science into simple, practical steps you can actually use to protect your kidneys, your heart, and your long-term health. And most importantly, don't wait for pain to tell you something is wrong. Kidney disease is quiet, but prevention doesn't have to be. With the right knowledge and daily choices, you can give your kidneys a calmer, lighter workload for years to come. Take care of them now, and they will take care of you for the rest of your life.